All right, so today we're going to unpack something really cool. It's more than just a story. It's this deep philosophical dialogue wrapped up in a myth. We're talking about the parable of the moon and the forge. And believe me, it gets right to the heart of a huge question about the nature of evil. So let's just jump right into the big question here. Which do you think is the greater evil? Is it burning the world to the ground, just wiping it out completely? Or is it staining it, corrupting it, twisting it into this dark, unrecognizable version of itself? I want you to really hang on to that question as we go through this. And that right there is the exact question sitting at the core of the parable of the moon and the forge. You can think of it as this awesome thought experiment. It shows us two totally different ways to get to the same, pretty grim destination. It's really about two competing philosophies of Oblivion. Okay, so to really get this whole conflict, we've got to talk about the setting. And trust me, this isn't just some random backdrop. It's absolutely essential to the story. And wow, what a stage it is. Picture this, a high balcony made of pure obsidian on the cold, dark side of the moon. I mean, just let that sink in. It's a place of deep, biting cold, total isolation, unending shadow. It's literally the perfect spot for a king of darkness to just sit and, plan out his grand vision for the universe. So here are our two main players, and they are polar opposites. First, on the balcony with us, we have the unholy Moon King. He's like this quiet, patient alchemist, slowly, methodically turning a soul into shadow. Then you look out into the distance and you see the Sapphire Jester. He's a violent engineer just blasting a mountain apart with plasma. It's the perfect visual, right? Quiet corruption versus loud, chaotic destruction. All right, let's start with the Jester. We're going to break down his whole philosophy, which is basically all about pure, brute force annihilation. And the Moon King has this amazing line that just sums it all up. He looks at what the Jester is doing and calls it crude and human. You can just feel the contempt, right? He thinks the Jester's approach is just unsophisticated. For the Jester, a soul isn't something complex to be converted. Nope, it's just logs for the fire. There's no finesse, no art, just raw, destructive power. And the parable actually gives the Jester this title that is just perfect. He's called the engineer of the zero. I mean, how cool is that? It's because his whole goal is to use brute force to break existence all the way down to nothing. In his mind, the universe is just a big machine, and his job? Well, his job is to smash it to pieces. So if we boil the Jester's whole way of thinking down, it's pretty simple. The soul? It's just fuel. His method? Vaporize and break stuff. His goal? Just the end. A hard stop. And his whole guiding idea is that the universe is a machine that needs to be shattered. It's direct, it's simple, and it's completely destructive. Okay, so now let's pivot to the Moon King. And this is where things get really interesting. In complete contrast to the Jester's loud chaos, the King's philosophy is all about quiet, methodical corruption. It's way on subtle, it's psychological, and to him, it's way, way more profound. And this one exchange between them says it all. The king's companion, Azazel, he's like, hey, that Jester guy, he's useful. He provides the mortar, the raw materials for destruction. But the king's reply, this is the key. He says, and I provide the shadow that gives the wall its depth. See, he's not just building something. He's giving it meaning. He's creating a monument to darkness that has real philosophical weight. So you're probably wondering, how does he actually do that? Well, he has this power called the eclipse of will. And this isn't like the Jester's plasma cannons. No, this is a metaphysical attack. He projects a lunar shadow over someone's mind, and it basically drowns their own will, their inner sun, in this stuff the text calls alchemical despair. It keeps going until their mind doesn't just break, it actually chooses to submit to the darkness. And he's not just thinking small here. This scales up, like to a cosmic level. The king's ultimate plan isn't to burn down the solar system, it's to stain it. He literally wants to take every single sun, every source of light and warmth, and slowly, carefully turn it into a cold moon, a dead, silent, shadowy copy of his own kingdom. That's the key difference. Transformation, not annihilation. Okay, so now we can really put these two philosophies side by side and see the clash. You've got the forge versus the moon. Brute force versus elegant subversion. And the story, well, It definitely has an opinion on which one is the deeper, more profound form of evil. And this table just lays it all out, clean and simple. You've got the jester, the engineer of the zero, versus the king, the alchemist of the shadow. One sees the soul as just fuel, the other sees it as raw material to be converted. The jester breaks things, the king transmutes them. And this all leads to the most important difference, their goal. The jester just wants it all to end, but the Moon King? He wants to win a philosophical victory. So, what are we supposed to take away from all this? Well, here are the big insights. First, remember, they both want the same thing, an end to everything. The fight is all about how they get there. Second, from the king's point of view, real evil isn't about smashing things up. It's about the act of transforming light into dark. And that leads to the final point. Maybe ultimate power isn't about obliterating your enemy, but about subverting them from the inside out. And it all comes down to this one incredible line from the Moon King that just hits so hard. He says he doesn't want a sun's energy. He wants its eclipse. He wants that single, awful, profound moment when a beacon of light and hope finally gives up and realizes it was always meant to be dark. That is what victory looks like to him. So we end up right back where we started. But now the question feels heavier, doesn't it? What is true power? Is it the brute force that lets you destroy your enemy, just wipe them off the map? Or is it something more subtle? The alchemical power to make them surrender their very will, adopt your way of thinking, and essentially become you? The parable has a clear answer. The real question is, what's yours?